Alright, let's see. Oh. Copy. Paste. Check, 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 check. Alright. Everybody's up. Good afternoon. Let's see if we can't get this mostly done today. All right. Good afternoon. This up here, I'm touching stuff up down there. Oh. Let's see, what was goes up here. I appreciate that. I might, staring at this paper long, I'm starting to feel my eyes getting strained. I'm gonna try this whole reading glasses thing out. Right? All right. Let's see if this helps my eyes relax a little bit. Good afternoon. Yeah, as usual, you come in. Don't hesitate to ask questions or if you have comments. Uh, Started inking this yesterday, and it's kind of a slice of the world building thing I've been working on for a while. Kind of really helped me kind of get back into the project, having been kept away from it for the last month and a half or so, really. So that's kind of the goal here is kind of get my head back in. The things I found kind of interesting is, initially when I first started working at this scale, it was a little bit intimidating to try and do kind of finished inks at this size, but it's kind of gotten easier. So, um, so yeah, hopefully kind of bring it to a nice finish today. Somebody saying hi over on Twitch, I think. Hello over there. How's the connection? Like, we were having run into some connection problems this morning. I'm not sure why, but Yeah. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, people popping in. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hello, everybody over there on the YouTube side. Saboteur. You like my reading glasses here? See if that helps with my eye fatigue. So when I look up at the screen to see the chat, I have to like lower the glasses down so I can see up there. Maybe I can lower them down here a little bit. Look up. Something like that. There we go. That might work better. Never really worn glasses before, so. You have to do the same with yours? Yeah, I've never, like I said, it wasn't a problem until maybe like a year ago. I really noticed it. I was starting to, if I would focus on drawing for, a couple hours, I'd have a hard time refocusing my eyes at different distances. I didn't think about buying these kinds of glasses, but my my dad passed away in December. My mom was kind of going through her stuff. She's like, "Hey, you want to try these reading glasses out?" And well, I guess sure, why not? Um, and so yeah, that's my inheritance, I guess. But seeing as my mom probably should benefit from that. But and so it's weird because this has the zoom. Suddenly it's like my paper feels like it's 1.5 times bigger, which I guess is what the zoom is on this thing. I was thinking about getting like one of those over the desk magnifying glasses or something, but humbled, huh? Is this uh is this a mellow I know? I never quite tell with user names, you know. Um, welcome everybody come in. Yeah, me and my 600 member YouTube channel, right? Very exciting stuff. It's very intimidating. Um, behold my internet clout. Oh, okay, well, appreciate you coming in. Yeah, a student, his last name is like Mielo at some point. I teach at a university here. First day of class is tomorrow, so it means I need to sit down and I've got a new class I need to write up some assignments for. But and but anyway, I had a student named the last name is something looks something like that. But um, so I never know, right? Sometimes I've had students come in from past universities and like, you don't recognize my username. I'm like, no, you know, most unless it's their actual name, and then hasn't been too long, then I might have a hard time remembering. So I've had a lot of students over the last 20 plus years, and so you know it affects things to a certain degree. Yeah, but this is part of those that aren't aware, since we got a few people on the YouTube thing. I have a project I've been working on. It's been kind of codenamed Bramble, and it's like a concept project initially. And as I've been working on it, I've been coming up with story ideas for it, and I've written up a script. Well, not a script, but really a story treatment. Done some test pages based off of it, and I need to get into some more of that. But I was been away for the last month and a half for the most part. We had a death in the family, um, and then hence the glasses I was talking about, and then I had a bunch of school things I had to take care of because I'm a tenure track professor, so I have the option for getting tenure eventually, and I had to do some paperwork for my first review of that, which I already know what the criticisms will be, you know, but um, but yeah, so I haven't touched a project in a while. And I had like all of my stuff with me, some light sketching or whatever while I was at my parents' out west, but getting ready for the new semester and all of that has kind of kept me from working on this too much. So, guess you can be subscriber 601 if you'd like. Hopefully, the connection will stay stable. It kind of was acting weird this morning after a while. Um, it's fine right now, but so it'll be 602. Yeah, anyway, I've got a pitch project I'm kind of working on. I want to send it off to Image eventually, and then give them some time to respond. And if they don't respond, then there's a bunch of other publishers I'd like to try out. I've got a sizable Instagram following on one of my accounts, and so it's definitely related to this stuff where I'm streaming right now too. So you can see in the chat probably at some point, but. There's a pencil drawing I did. I just can't move it, knock stuff over. Hi, Bosch. Dog just came upstairs. Um, he gets a walk in 1 hour. So that's probably half the reason he came up is to remind me that it's almost time. It's only 1 hour away. And he wants to make sure that I don't forget. But yeah, the bottom down here. So this I'm actually, well, there's some brush in there too. And then I'm going to bring this in here a little bit. I just want to make sure I kept the atmosphere type, but I'm using this nib right here a lot, which is a Type C calligraphy nib. So it's kind of got a flat side on one side, and then you can go kind of side to side to draw narrowly. And so I use that a whole bunch down here. I'm just kind of setting up the top because I want to make sure the top is a bit more atmospheric. And so I wanted to make sure I started with some thinner lines up here. Um, Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. So the drawing I'm doing here is kind of so my Bramble project, or actually I might shift it to Briar, but kind of it's supposed to be another planet, so I'm thinking about using like planetary designations as a name. So BR-13R, and anyway, the idea behind the story is that humans have settled on this planet. It's far, far away from Earth. They traveled here on a generational colony ship or colony ship kind of flight group. So there's a whole bunch of these ships in the flight group, and they land on this planet, and the planet has kind of the appearance of being a giant tangle of interwoven plants. It looks like a tangle of weeds or a bramble, which has been my working title for a while, is bramble. I might go back to that. I haven't decided yet, but I think there's comics named Bramble. Uh, anyway, the story that I've kind of been working on lately is this guy. It's about 80 years after they've arrived, and humans aren't really adapting that well to living here. So while it's full of life, it's not really the kind of life that they can really adapt to. They can't really eat. They can't really do a lot. So they're really struggling. And anyway, there's this guy. And the working title for what he does is called tree hopping, so moving around among these branches. And anyway, on the planet, there's the main colony, and then there's other crash sites. So some of the colony ships crashed when they arrived, and I have a whole thought on a history for that, but I haven't got it written down yet. But on the planet too is like there's evidence of like some ancient civilization having been there, um, but there's no evidence of like their biological life. So there's just artifacts. There's no skeletons. There's no grave sites. There's just some of these structures that are kind of there on the planet, and they're not the kind of things that humans would interface with. And so anyway, this story, he's kind of someone who's kind of fallen out of favor over time. He's committed to the project, but he's had personal issues. He made a commitment a long time ago that maybe he believes is important, but maybe he shouldn't have made. And he's being sent out. He's given kind of this opportunity to go out and investigate one of the lost colony ships, and what he finds there kind of shows a lot of what happened when they first arrived, the truth of it, along with the nature of the planet that they're attempting to colonize. And that's kind of the nature of the story. So I thought, kind of get back into. I thought I would do a kind of a vertical slice of the environment. Um, so anyway, yeah, he's out investigating. So I thought I would do a vertical slice because it's kind of more of the surface area, and then you kind of get into the deeper stuff down at the bottom. And it goes deeper than this, but I thought, this is just a way for me to kind of warm up. Um, um, yeah, so I've kind of put a little, almost like little stick figures in here. So there's a guy like right here, right there. And there's another one down here. But so that's the kind of the story I've been working on. So I've got a character, I've got concept, and I'm putting together a pitch. I've kind of looked at what most uh, of these, most comic book companies want, and they kind of want, a synopsis, your plot, your log line, kind of what the story is about, and then they want some covers, or at least one cover. They want to know who your team is, and then they want 5 finished pages. And so I've done some pages. I feel like I need to do a bunch more because I'm not really that experienced with comics. Let's see. Yeah, so I like it. Hopefully, it'll be a good story. I try to find. I've been trying to. I spent a lot of time working on this. I started a couple of years ago with like just some sketches I was doing um, in my sketchbook that were kind of multicolored and small, during COVID, and I'm just kind of looking at ways of bringing all of my interests together and just exploring, kind of inking with different colors, mixing them up together, and then the subject matter, and I appreciate it. I mean, it's not really a story image, right? So I mean, like it might be work as like an environment sketch or a landscape sketch. Um, so um, yeah, so it's one thing to do like an environment sketch like this. It's another one to do real finished pages. And I've done like again probably from the story, different tries. I've done I think 10 pages, something like that. One was a test earlier in the summer, one last fall before things kind of got out of hand, and then so um, so Yeah, but I've done a ton of concept art for this stuff, not just traditionally, digitally too. Yeah, yeah, I said here was just like a little kind of vertical slice. But yeah, so I need, and there's a bunch of other things I need to get kind of back into in order to help this project be successful. Hello, I don't understand what you're saying. So I see Picasso in there, but I think that's the only word I understand. I'll have thanks for stopping in. Good luck out there. I'm going to stick around here till like another 40 minutes or so, and then gotta get the dog out, get dinner. I might come back in the evening. I do need to make sure my school stuff is ready to go tomorrow. Whatever it is we're doing. Um, Good afternoon. Thank you for popping in over there on Kick. Oh, what did come my hand? Let's see. magic. Okay, as far as tonality. Yeah, Bosh, it's not time. Hear that snort back there, anybody? That was my dog. He's saying, you know, human, it's basically 4 o'clock. And I'm like, no, it's not. 30 minutes from now. Close. It's not. It's a little bit bigger than A3. It's 11 by 17 inches, so it's a little bit bigger. I'm not sure how that translates exactly as centimeters. I don't remember. But so I live in the United States, and so I work with the imperial formats from not the international ones. But yeah, A3 is pretty close to this size. Just A3 would be smaller. I think A3 is the closest because obviously not. This isn't A2. That would be really big. It was interesting. I was commenting before, but initially when I first started working this size, it felt a little intimidating because it felt so big. But it's actually gotten easier to work with, and um, yeah. So that's the scale here. What this is for me, this is a kind of way of me getting back into my project. So I did a drawing a couple days ago. It's actually over here on the left. It's holding up some stuff, so I can't move it. But who are my main artistic influences? Oh, that's so many. I'm uh, I'm 47 years old, so um, but yeah, like the first people that got me excited about comics, I remember the first time I walked into a comic book store when it would be 91, I think, and X-Men 1 and Uncanny X-Men 281 were on the shelf, and that's what I went with my first 2 comics, and that was Jim Lee and Will Portatio. Um, and I still have those comics somewhere around here in the other room. I've definitely been looking at a lot of other people since then. Obviously, um, like I like a lot of how Sean Gordon Murphy draws. It's really dynamic and does do a little bit of same face, but unless it's just kind of unless it's his background kind of cartoony characters. But his his inking and his storytelling, his drawing of vehicles are really impeccable. In terms of comics, these are some people that I like a lot. Um, they're all the classic ones, of course. The your Jack Kirby's and your Sal Buscema's and all of that. Your Art Adams type people. Um, but in yeah, so there's just a lot of people. Um, half the time I forget names just because there's so many. Rembrandt, I think, does great inking. He still feels very modern to me, in spite of having been dead for hundreds of years. Some of the styling I'm doing here is a little bit, not quite, but a little bit reminiscent of Franklin Booth, which is someone Mark Silvestri cites as influencing his kind of more recent style of illustration for his Batman book that he did, Batman and Joker. I really like what's going on with Nick Klein's Hulk at the moment. Dan Panosian on The Punisher, I think, is really nice in terms of the mainstream stuff. James Herron and Daniel Warren Johnson, I really like what they do in terms of like their expressive quality. So there's a lot. I'm not really looking to be anybody. I like to do master studies. Under my desk or somewhere around here. It's probably not under my desk anymore, but I've done a bunch of studies where I took other people's work and inked on top of it. So when you finished inked work for a lot of it, and use those as kind of primers for studying inking, and but I don't tend to do like trying to be somebody necessarily. Yeah, that's kind of when I got into comics, right? So I got in '91, and I think Image launched in what '93. But I like a lot of what's going on at Image at the moment, especially like I look back, like I've got actually got over here these. I pulled it out to look at it a while ago. Just haven't put it back, but I have this crossover between Wildcats and Cyberforce. And in the issues that Jim Lee did, in one of them especially, he did these 4-page spreads. Did two of them in one book. And you look at the quality, the story itself isn't that great. It's kind of a soap opera story. It's about a girl who's like manipulating. Um, um, what was I saying? Anyway, yeah, the I just remember that like I pulled it out because it's amazing to see how intensely he was working it. I even have a bunch of the early Spawn stuff. I think I collected up until around 50 or 60 or something like that. But he's got I guess Brett Booth is illustrating it now. The writing is god awful. I looked at it and it's just like probably should say that out loud. But the writing is just there. But Brett Booth, like he really got better. I hadn't really paid attention to him in a long time. I hadn't thought about him, so I remember his series with Image back in the day. I always felt like the characters looked a little disjointed in the book, but so I never really followed him very much past that point. But it looks like he's obviously it's been a long time, so he's gotten a lot better. Um, yeah, but I initially missed the initial like I think 8 or 9 issues of Spawn. Which back then, if you missed it, you just missed it, right? It was too expensive or whatever for a kid to pick up. Um, yeah, well, they were all. If you listen to Rob Liefeld has a podcast, and you'll hear him be butthurt about stuff, which I think is really entertaining. But B, he talks a lot about like the history of things and where things come from, and he's got a number of ones where he talks about where that kind of Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri era style came from, that led to like J. Scott Campbell and those other guys. And he goes to Art Adams for all of it. He said basically, Art Adams was a huge influence on all of them, but especially those guys. Um, it's good to see there's a lot more variety now. That there's like all kinds of things going on. Like I like what this is. Maybe more in line with the style of that time. But like Jeff Johns has got a whole bunch of former DC people working with him, doing some cool stuff. Like Work Exodus. What's it called? I can't remember the name of it, but it's the guy who's he's a red coat. It's called Red Coat. He's a red coat soldier from Revolutionary War who's immortal. Um, he bumps into the founders of America, and they're part of the Masons, and the Masons are this horrible magic cult, and he kind of accidentally steals immortality from one of them, and he's a coward, and he's short-sighted and selfish, and so he's not like the kind of person you would want being immortal. Ah, well, that's a high compliment. I don't know that I've quite got there yet, but those are all definitely people that are awesome. Now, I've been playing. This is the pen has been giving me this particular style, this nib. It's a Type C um, calligraphy pen, and I like it a lot. I was kind of studying inking. I was looking a lot at speaking of '90s people, Richard Friend has a inking channel. He has YouTube where he goes over, he shows a lot of his inking technique because that's his background is inking. And he got started in at Image back then, and he he's big on the Hunt 102, which I've got a bunch of those around here. But I was kind of working on those, and I was getting okay with the techniquey things that he was showing in there. And then as I my nature being what it is, I started looking around at other things that I already had. And I had like this old tin of nibs that I bought, when I was like a teenager or a freshman in college or something like that. And I started kind of just cycling through the different nibs just to see what they did in terms of lines. And I pulled this one out and started messing with it. I was like, oh, I like what this does. I don't know that I'll use it for everything, but I've been using it a lot lately, and I feel like it kind of lends itself to the structures I'm building, just because you can get these like you can pull like long, even strokes because you can kind of balance on the tip. The only complaint I have right now is the ink I'm using is a little bit wet. It's gotten better since yesterday, but so um, now I've got like a finished ink piece I did up here in front of me. And, it's a mix of this. I've been using one of this Japanese nib. It's like it kind of does a mark like you would get with a Hunt 102, but it's just like a little bit stiffer. And so I've been using that one uh, instead of the Hunt 102. Hunt 102 has just like, for me at least, maybe it's just because the amount of ink this particular brand of ink drops down. It has like just a little bit too much of a bounce in it, and it kind of leaves like a big drops behind. I worry about those drops not drawing. Um, so, but that's but so yeah. Actually, if you don't know if you're familiar with it, but if you're still there, but John Byrne did some new X-Men comics a number of years ago. He hasn't done any more in a while. Um, but yeah, he has a website that's like Burn Robotics or something like that. He has a forum on there. Anyway, on that forum, he started putting out pencils of X-Men as if he had continued them after the Dark Phoenix thing or something like that. And it's like 30 some odd issues of John Byrne pencils, and they're all really beautiful. You can see all of his like his perspective stuff in there, and his structural drawing, and the story. You know, the storytelling is really great. Um, I heard a rumor that I guess Marvel's planning on publishing them, and but yeah, they're really incredible. If you haven't seen them, you go there and read the whole thing. I know some people have done like prints of them. Um, yeah, but there's tons of good stuff going on. If you haven't looked at comics lately, like I like the Incredible Hulk, or rather, it's the Infernal Hulk now. They just started that. It's interesting, kind of reimagining of the Hulk as a elder god that's been reincarnated. So, um, 350. Oh, it's 8 minutes now, huh? My dog is just like, can we please do the thing? 'Cause he only gets two WALKs a day, you know. I did notice. Oh, I guess you're not here anymore. But yeah, I'm just gonna be on for a couple more minutes and then head out. And maybe be back this evening to touch it up, depending on how I'm feeling. Oh, appreciate that. Thanks for subscribing. That give me to 601 or 602. Um, uh, I mostly just do live streaming here, so sometimes I'll drop my like the reels and things I do for Instagram mostly for most of the audiences. Um, I'll drop those shorts into the YouTube as well. Someone pointed out to me a while ago. I didn't realize this, but you could add music to shorts in YouTube just like you can to the ones in Instagram, which I didn't realize because I just hadn't put much effort into thinking about YouTube beyond the live streaming thing. I was like, oh, all I have to do is just do the same thing over there that I'm doing over here, and seems like that does help get gets views and things like that. But how are we doing here? Connection seems like it's okay. Well, I've had some drop frames, but not too many, it's like. Well, I don't know what's too many, but all right, 4 o'clock. So I think that's a good spot to pause. And maybe come back to this later today. We'll see. Just depends on what's going on. But my dog is very insistent. He's like, now is the time. I know it is the time. Right, Bosch? So I'm going to pause it there and come back to this maybe later.